Okay, guys, I am back from Chicago. Sorry I missed you last week. It happens sometimes, but I'm right back with you here on Tuesday. We're going to jump into this recap. So, of course, the fantasy GOAT defeated Joe. I mean, Will Fuller, clearly the new number one in Houston now. It looks like his connection with Deshaun Watson is just ridiculous. What an amazing game from Will Fuller. Got to be the best free agent pickup of all time, by the way. I pick him up, plug him into my lineup. He has one of the best for fantasy receiving days of all time. Boom. That's how it works when you're the GOAT. Now, there's death, taxes, and Derrick Henry 1 yard touchdown runs. When the Titans get to the 1 yard line, Derrick Henry's getting in. There's no way to stop it. He's on pace for 16 tutties right now, and I think he's going to get there because Derrick Henry's an animal. Michael Thomas, also known as Michael Tumnus, welcome to Narnia, bitches, belongs on my team because he's half GOAT. He's basically family. I mean, I'm the fantasy GOAT, and he's Michael Tumnus from Narnia, half GOAT. Dalvin Cook is either the first best or second best running back in fantasy, much higher floor than Christian McCaffrey. McCaffrey's flashed that 40-something point ceiling. So, I mean, take your pick. Can't go wrong with either of those two guys. Joe, on his side of things, he had a incredibly stupid move that just blindly worked out. He played the Philadelphia defense, who earlier this year was shredded by Case Keenum and the Redskins. I mean, they scored one fantasy point against Case Keenum and the Redskins. It was a dumb play. It worked out for Joe. I don't know what else to say about that. It was crazy. So sometimes the lightning strikes, and that's it. Imagine if Joe had good running backs. I mean, Nick Chubb, Devonta Freeman, Kerryon Johnson. It's a who's who of who's the most overrated guys in fantasy right now. You guys didn't really think Joe was going to beat me, though, did you? I mean, come on. Valiant effort, but the GOAT's going to come and take a dump on your lawn. That's what happens. You can't stop the GOAT from doing GOAT things. Now, Brad's downward spiral continues. 4 straight losses. Here's a guy that headed into our draft talking about the only reason I had won for 2 years in a row was because he wasn't in the league. And he was going to take the league by storm. And, Brad he was going to come in and dominate all you idiots, right? Well, hasn't quite happened that way, has it, Brad? Turns out maybe everybody in the league isn't as dumb as you think they are. Maybe you're the idiot. Starting to look that way. You're going to put yourself in sticker contention if this keeps going. Tony Jr., Christian McCaffrey just killing it week in and week out, except that one anomaly against the Bucs. I don't know how the Bucs stopped him, but they did. He's got a team full of great sell-high candidates, but since Tony's just bad at fantasy football, he'll hang on to them, and then he'll ultimately bitch when they fall off or get injured. And so the only real threat Tony Jr. is a threat for his record 4th Crybaby Award. Because don't worry, it's coming. The crying's coming. It'll probably start this next week when I whoop his ass. Now, Brad, you got to do something, man. You got to do something. Jason Witten has got to go. He just has to, man. He's 75 years old. He needs a stroller to get onto the field. Golden Tate, how many teams exactly do you think are in this league, Brad? It's only a 10-team league. There's 9 other players. You don't need to roster Golden Tate. He belongs in free agency, where coincidentally there's some much better options than Golden Tate. Now, back to Tony's team. Mike Evans is clearly taking a back seat to Chris Godwin. I tried to be a good brother and explain to Tony after Evans had his big blow-up week, I think week 3 or 4, that he should try to sell him high. He had 3 touchdowns, 180 yards. You should try to sell him high. But since Tony knows more than I do, as evidenced by him winning the league more times than anyone and currently being in first place again, Oh, wait. No, let's check that. That's me. I did those things. I'm currently in first place, and I've won the league 2 years in a row. Now I remember Tony's the guy that thinks he's better than everyone at this with no resume to back it up. So there's that matchup. We got John beating the brakes off a senior in what can only be described as elder abuse. I hope you're proud of yourself, John. You threw an elder down a flight of stairs and then elbow dropped him from the top of it like Macho Man Randy Savage. John had two of the top three performances of the season thus far, both on his team in the same week. That's a recipe for success, people. And while that carried him to a victory, raise your hand if you think Aaron Jones ever scores anywhere near that again. Anybody? Wrigley? No? Okay, that's what I thought. Deshaun Watson, however, is the real deal, guys, and his connection with Will Fuller is downright scary. Let's not forget Nuke Hopkins is still there as well. Kiki Cutie's a great pass catcher, and Watson can run. He could very well be the QB1 this season, and for that reason, he's going to keep John in contention all season long. The demise of Austin Eckler appears to be greatly exaggerated. He is obviously the preferred passing down and red zone option for the Chargers. That's all there is to it. On Senior's team, it's simple. If Mahomes doesn't go ape shit, he loses. Simple as that. Keenan Allen is a bum. We all know it. Just because he started the year hot doesn't mean he's not still a bum. And that's ditto for Sammy Watkins, who is safely droppable at this point, as is every single player on your roster not named Mahomes, Kelsey, Breda, Carson, and Allen. So you have 5 players on your roster that do not belong in free agency. Every other player on your team, I can go into free agency and find a better player at that position. That's all there is to it. So there you go. Now, Jared ekes out a win over Steve. I mean, I guess somebody had to win this. It's officially time to slam that panic button on Steve. You lost to Jared, who entered the week in dead last with one of the least impressive rosters in the league. Now, to be fair, Jared did get bailed out by Russell Wilson throwing up 33 points on Thursday, but come on, he only scored 100. I mean, he got a 33-pointer. He scored 100 points. Nuke Hopkins is obviously there just to draw double teams away from my man, Will Fuller. I'm sorry. I'm not sorry. I'm not. One thing I am sorry about, I sent David Montgomery to Jared, and the Bears immediately lose to the Raiders. Apparently, the curse is still alive and well. I was looking at these two teams, and I got to take a second and just say, my God, these teams are ugly. These are, Jason's ex-girlfriend level ugly. This is just hideous. Jimmy Garoppolo, I mean, he's not the worst play, but the Niners are obviously a run-first team. Odell, he may be a lost cause this season. If Baker can't figure it out, that entire offense looks awful. At least Sony finally had a solid game. I mean, it was against the Redskins, and Rex Burkhead was out, so, I mean, who cares? But still, it's better than what he's been doing. At least he finally did something. Melvin Gordon is not who we thought he was. What possessed you to draft such a shitty player? I don't know. You'll have to explain that to me. But now we move on to Jason Tiny Arms Gotch beating Reese. Reese is getting exposed as a mediocre at best team. Reese should have shopped Lamar Jackson after those first 2 weeks. He played JV teams, but you should have heard Reese. He was over the moon. Lamar Jackson was going to be the QB1. Lamar Jackson's such a superstar. The guy's unbelievable. Lamar Jackson's a piece of shit. That's all there is to it. He's a terrible quarterback. He's not good at all. Which makes Mark Andrews, who's playing hurt and tied to one of the least accurate QBs we've ever seen in this league, a horrible tight end option. Sorry, I'm glad he had a good first 2 games. They played nobody the first 2 weeks. I think they played the Redskins and the Dolphins or something like that. I mean, who cares? So, you're living off of that glory with those guys. They're matchup plays. They can do it against the easy matchups, but I mean, even last week, Lamar Jackson got 15 points, and Reese is going, "Oh, even bad Lamar is good." No, 15 points is not good, idiot. And 10 points is certainly not good. Zeke Elliott looks fat and slow. He's still doing okay, but he's not a world beater. That Nuke and Connor for Zeke trade is starting to shape as a who cares situation. Nobody cares. Now, someday, I know this is hard to believe, but someday the Patriots are going to play an actual NFL team. And when that day comes, Reese is screwed because, your team sucks when the best player on your team is a defense. So I hammered him in the last week or 2 weeks ago. I'm telling you, Reese's team is sinking to the bottom. Now, Jason's team, Leonard Fournette, continues to ball out now that he's off of my team. Now, what are you going to do? Delaney Walker, however, has 14 more yards than I do over the last 2 weeks. It's time to move on, Jason. Got to get rid of Delaney Walker. Kamara looks okay. He's clearly the second option to Michael Thomas in New Orleans. But he's still, he's still Alvin Kamara. He's a solid option. So congratulations to the winners this week. And I will see you guys Thursday for a matchup preview. Best of luck.